pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Reverend Matisse, can you call the roll?
Okay. Dr. Feld,
Present.
Dr. Flores,
Present.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yes.
Matias here. Pastor Moody's excused. Dr. Randalls,
Present.
Mr. Ross,
Present.
Ms. Slade,
Present.
President Baker.
Here.
They were accounted for.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Support.
Everyone support? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the first order of business is we need to call for nomination for the office of temporary chairperson for election of officers.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Baker as temporary chairperson. Support.
Do we need to call the roll on that, or? Okay,
Yep.
call the roll.
Okay. Dr. Feld,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yes.
Reverend Matias, yes. Pastor Moody's excused. Dr. Randalls,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Slade,
Yes.
Dr. Baker.
Yes. Okay, so I'm following a script now. We also need to appoint a temporary chairperson. I'm sorry, temporary secretary.
I'd nominate John Matias. Support.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Call the roll for that, too. You want to take your time. Go ahead, so you need to make note.
Okay.
You are auditioning for the job right now.
I am.
For the job of temporary chairperson.
Well, here we go. Okay. Okay, Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Dr. Feld,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand,
Yes.
Matias, yes. Pastor Moody excused. Dr. Randalls,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Baker.
Yes. All right, so we now have temporary chairperson and a temporary secretary. I'm going to call for nominations. We do have in our packet was a slate for all four positions. That slate, I believe, included myself as president, Reynard Ross as vice president, Monica Randalls as treasurer, and John Matias as secretary. Are there any other nominations? Can I get,
I move that we forward the slate as presented in our packet. Or
all right, so call the roll.
Okay, Dr. Feld,
yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand,
Yes.
Matias, yes. Pastor Moody excused. Dr. Randalls,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Slade,
Yes.
Dr. Baker.
Yes. All right, so we now have our officers for the year.
Yay. Congratulations.
Too bad there's not a big crowd.
I know, there's the media's not here to
Weird staff.
report the change in vice presidency. So anyway, so if you want to make our change. You have a question, Dr. Randalls?
No.
Oh, okay. So just to reiterate, we have our officers for the year will be, Dr. Randalls will continue as treasurer of the board. Reverend Matias will continue as secretary.
Too far. I'm going to go sit near where the students are.
You just sit with me, Mo.
I think I will.
We may need to make changes to that later.
Mr. Ross, I'll kick you every now and then.
Can you carry some?
Pinch you like my mother would.
Thanks, sir. I think we've been here before, haven't we?
Yeah, they can do their officer thing, but we know where the real power lies,
Exactly.
doesn't it?
Like in every good marriage. The boys have that.
All right, so we welcome Mr. Ross as the
The boys play.
new vice president. And we'll continue on. I think that the fact that there isn't a public here is actually kind of a good sign that people are just kind of, there's not much drama anymore at the GRPS school boards. All right, celebrations.
None at this time, President Baker.
Okay. Abigail, would you like to report to the board?
Sure. So some of you may know I am also the president of the Grand Rapids Mayor's Youth Council. And so I would just like to report that a few of our members on this council, particularly Hannah Jones-Reiser, who attends Forest Hill Central, and Henry Bartleston, who attends Innovation Central, they are passing forward a movement that they're calling the Public Servicing Disciplinary Action. And so what they would like to do is replace Saturday detentions as well as after-school detentions with community service work to help benefit the community. So what I have suggested them to do is they're going to draw up a report, and not next meeting, but the meeting after, so then Ms. Neal can be here, so they can report to the board on their plans and the details of that aspect. And so that's all actually part of what the Youth Council is doing, which is called youth engagement. So we're attempting to create a campaign, in a sense, to get the youth of Grand Rapids more engaged in civics and government and politics. So we're hosting voting drives, we're doing stuff, we're going making presentations at schools on the importance of politics and that aspect. So you'll probably hear more on that later this year, but that's kind of what's happening right now.
So does that mean that the mayor is organizing youth to take on the schools? Is that?
Slightly.
That is.
So
would be a no.
it's very much a work
Sounds like it.
it's a work in progress. It's something that
Okay.
the students have come up with, so we've got to still talk to her yet about it.
Sorry, I twisted that a bit. So. All right. Public comment. Well, thank you for that, Abigail. Public comment for board agenda items. There are no public comment. So, secretary's report.
Okay, secretary's report. Where am I at? Comes up. Is it? There it is. Okay, sorry. Grand Rapids Urban League, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Corporate Breakfast is going to be held Monday, January 18th from 7:30 at the Steelcase Town Hall. A table has been reserved for the board, and so if you can let them know, then we can account. Also, Giants Award, the board invites to the 34th annual Giants Award and Banquet to honor and celebrate African-American individuals and/or organizations that are recognized for their exceptional contributions shaping the history and quality of life of the greater Grand Rapids. The event will take place Saturday, February 6th from 6 p.m. at the DeBoss Place. So again, if you can RSVP with Julie, that would be great. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
Dr. Baker and members of the board, I'd like to ask John Himholt to come forward so we can celebrate. And actually, he's going to do two reports, so,
Is it okay to start with school board?
yes, please.
All right, good evening, President Baker, Superintendent Weatherall Neal, members of the board. Happy New Year and welcome back.
Happy New
Let's start out first with a resolution. This is School Board Recognition Month as declared by the governor, and so I'd like to take the liberty to, per Teresa's request, to read this to you. Whereas the governor of the state of Michigan has declared the observance of January 2016 as School Board Member Recognition Month, and whereas Grand Rapids Public School Board members represent a tremendous resource as local decision makers who consistently respond to the needs of their community, and whereas Grand Rapids Public School Board members represent the voice of this community in serving the interests of our school children and preparing them for the future. And whereas Grand Rapids Public School Board members continually strive for improvement and progress in education with an understanding of the need for commitment to change and growth. And whereas the men and women elected by the people as members of the Grand Rapids Public School Board deserve recognition for countless hours of public service to public education in this community, therefore be it resolved that she, Teresa Weatherall Neal, Superintendent of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, hereby declares January 2016 as School Board Member Recognition Month in the Grand Rapids Public Schools. She commends the members of the board, Grand Rapids Public School Board, for their dedicated service to the children of this community, and urge all citizens to join her in demonstrating gratitude to these outstanding individuals. Be it further resolved that the student representatives to the board also be recognized for their dedication and service to the board in providing input on a wide variety of student issues in the district. Be it further resolved that this resolution is recorded in the proceedings of the board and a copy be placed on file. Thank you for your service.
Nice. It is a thankless job, and I do recognize that.
It's actually not thankless, by the way. So it's good to be recognized all month long.
Yeah,
The rest of the
absolutely.
year.
Long month. We'll get you cookies or something.
The second item that the superintendent asked me to brief you on is just an update on our severe weather procedures and our closing. We have a very rigorous process, one that we've been doing obviously for years, but I want to walk you through it. Our intent, as Larry Johnson surveys the land, he connects with obviously the police department, the Rapid, the taxi cab drivers, Kent County Road Commission, Dean Transportation. He himself and others go out and patrol the roads when there's a severe weather event. Our intent is, if possible, to make the decision to close schools by 11 o'clock the night before. However, a lot of times the weather doesn't cooperate. We don't have an idea of whether or not it'll be severe enough to close, and so the alternative time is at 5:30 in the morning. That's really about the drop dead latest. We've gone a little later on a few occasions, but in order to get the ovens up and running, to get the buses out, really the ideal situation is to make that decision by 5:30. And once he does that and he gets the blessing from the superintendent, then I get to place the robocalls and all the other fun things. So the other thing for our parents and our stakeholders, there are multiple ways by which we inform our constituents about when we close. Number one, we alert the media. All the media are part of this Grail network, so they immediately are informed when the schools close. We have an automated phone call system. It's actually automated messaging. So a automated phone call in English and Spanish, text message and email all go out at the same time, and that in many cases will include staff or parents, students, and staff members. We do have for that system, if someone is not already signed up to receive the robocall, they have to give us permission to place that call. So if they are interested in signing up for the call or the email, they can go to the district website at grps.org, and there's a simple way to sign in there. For text messaging, which is part of the same system, they also have to opt into that. And we only have a couple thousand families that have opted in to receive the text message. It's very simple. They simply have to text yes to 68453. If you do that, you'll get a text message, and you have options on the student enrollment form where you can opt in to receive one, opt out on another, but we really encourage everyone to opt in for all of them, particularly when it comes to not just severe weather, but all other types of emergency situations. The email system I mentioned already. We also have the district's social media, so our Facebook and our Twitter accounts get posted there, and then there's also the district website and the main line. So they call 819-2000 and just click school closure information. It's all on there. And that actually probably takes about 5 to 8 minutes for it to all go down. So once the decision is made and I get the call, this happens in about 8 minutes.
Board members learn that at the same time as everybody else. So, and we don't discuss it with the superintendent. So,
And that's it.
thank you. All right. Our action item is our regular board meeting schedule. Can I get a motion to support?
Move for approval?
All right, so that is in our packet on page 10 and reflects our usual. Is there any discussion of the schedule? And it does, just for the sense, it does mean that our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 19th, because of the Martin Luther King holiday. So, all right, can you call the roll?
Okay, Dr. Faub,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yes.
T.S. yes. Pastor Moody is excused. Dr. Randalls,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Baker.
Yes. All right, can I get a motion for our consent agenda grouping?
So moved. Support.
Dr. Force?
I'd like to request that the Finance Committee minutes be taken off of the consent agenda based on concerns that they may not totally reflect board member comments, including my own, and questions raised in that process.
Can we rephrase the motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda minus the Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Support.
Okay, call the roll for the consent agenda minus Finance Committee minutes.
Okay. Dr. Faub,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yes.
For Matthias, yes. Pastor Moody excused. Dr. Randalls,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Baker.
Yes. All right, in order to discuss the Finance Committee.
Move for approval of the Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Support.
Discussion. Dr. Flores?
Yeah, I guess overall in reporting the minutes, I think that minutes are, I guess, incomplete when they do not necessarily reflect the concerns that I raised or a board member raised. They could be, I guess, phrased in that manner. Yet staff are quoted here in terms of raising their responses to concerns that were raised. And I raised specific issues related to the processes that we use in contracting consultants. And I asked questions because I felt that we didn't have enough information to justify our expenditure to two consultants, those that were then basically approved by the committee. And I guess in that process, I'd like, for a greater level of transparency to be present in this process and at least identifying the issues that I brought to the table.
I would suggest that maybe the proper thing to do is for Mr. Flores to review the transcript of it then and submit any proposed corrections. So I think we should properly table admission of the report, and if he's got concerns about it, I think that'd be the appropriate remedy, right? He can certainly go back to the tape and make any suggestions that he wants to make for corrections. So I guess I can't withdraw my second, can I? But someone has to motion to table that, but I think that's what we probably should do.
Let's make it clear what
Yeah.
anyone else have thoughts on?
Well, I don't think the minutes that we approve are verbatim, nor
Understood,
is
but
the
I think
expectation
I'm sorry.
that they're, no, yeah.
But if he has I mean, there's a simple solution. There's a transcript. He can get in conversation about things that are in the transcript that he wants more detail of here. They're not intended to be verbatim, but the solution is, if you said something you thought was really important that weren't in there, wasn't in there, I think you're right. We err on the side of transparency, and we err on the side of more complete reporting. So if you think there's something missing, we go to the tape, and if you want it, I don't think anybody would object to you having any level of detail that was in fact in the tape put into the minutes. I just think it takes legwork on your part, so we should stall this, table it, and then you can submit whatever detail you want.
I agree that there needs to be some detail, and I'm not asking that everything that I said be stated in the minutes, but I think in summary, summary fashion, which is what the approach has been used here in reporting the minutes, that it ought to adequately reflect mine and other, concerns or comments or questions that were raised.
Yeah, I agree.
Move to table the minutes of the Finance Committee of December 14th.
That was.
Support.
No.
Can I support even though I made the who knows? I won't support it because I supported the first motion.
I just made the motion to
When-
table the
Should
minutes.
we-
So you made the motion and you're allowed to table it?
Yeah.
All right, then I'll support it.
Okay, so we will, we will need to have.
Need a vote on tabling.
Right.
Okay. Can we discuss the motion?
I think
Oh,
tabling has
yeah,
immediate
sure.
effect, doesn't it?
So it does,
It does, there's no vote, you're right, it doesn't vote.
You just got to immediately vote on
It's
tabling.
on, it supersedes.
so we have tabled it, we have not necessarily agreed on what to do before it comes back to the board, correct? So, Dr. Flores has asked that the minutes reflect some of the rationale for his opposition vote. It sounds like you're asking that in general because you raised questions about this particular item, but also the process for consultants. So it sounds like you'd like that to be reflected in the minutes of that meeting. That's what you're requesting.
In summary fashion, and that we ought to do that going forward, it just seemed to be, an omission of relevant information related to the discussion that was engaged in.
So, can I ask, I hope I'm not out of order here, but can I ask, in terms of this kind of issue with other committee minutes, have we given more detail in the past, or should we consider giving more detail, or is this an issue, just in terms of our precedent?
I think this is exactly properly handled. The minutes are reported on a level of detail that the transcriber thinks is appropriate, and then if anyone who was there wants more detail, they call a halt and they ask for some edits. But we don't want to be publishing transcripts of all of our
No.
committee meetings.
Right.
So this is exactly what you
Okay.
do. So I think this is exactly the right process, and occasionally you will have this issue anytime you summarize any proceeding.
I'm
Which
just
is why we
wondering,
vote on minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So,
I do have a question. So you don't want verbatim?
No.
So before I vote on anything, I want to clarify.
No,
In a summary, if I may finish, in a summary, you're going to summarize, so you're not going to have every specific comment or issue, so I'm a little confused as to what exactly you want done there. If it's verbatim, that's a different story.
my impression is, after the paragraph, I would suggest, after the paragraph that ends with the Fisher-Fry consultant paragraph, you could add a paragraph that says, Dr. Flores raised the following questions.
And
And that would be, and that would summarize it, and then the motion is then passed by these people and opposed by Dr. Flores.
I further think, just to clarify, that properly, Dr. Flores should submit essentially what he thinks is an appropriate summary. We all have the capacity to go back and look at the tape. So if we think that he's not summarizing accurately, it's incumbent on us, if we're going to object to whatever he does, to do so in an informed manner. Otherwise, we presumptively accept whatever addition he wants to make.
and I think it makes sense when someone had a no vote, that there is a state, if there was a discussion, that there is some reflection of why there was a no. So I think it's helpful for the record
Right,
in the minutes.
exactly,
So.
right, otherwise. One other question about logistics, is it, for future, we always have the opportunity to pull a consent agenda item. Is it better, in general, if someone catches a mistake such as this prior to a meeting, to contact either the board president or a person in support? In other words, the person that recorded the minutes, would it be appropriate for Dr. Flores in this case to contact and say, hey, I noticed that you didn't include, would it be better to do that, or would it be better to come through this process?
That's what we've done in the past.
I don't think there's a better or worse. I think that would be another route, and if
Okay.
Dr. Flores had wanted to do that, that would have been appropriate. Because what he's doing is saying, can you please go check the tape? It's just like reviewing a referee's call. He's not saying, please add that there were elephants in the room. He's saying, please go check the tape and record what was said, or reflect what was said about this, I'm concerned. I think that can be handled administratively, but if we get here and we're at the meeting, this is his last chance to respond, and so that's appropriate too.
I do think it would be appropriate to go through the board president. It just seems like that could be potentially a slippery slope, not necessarily just in this instance, but we start getting into board members, I guess, reaching out directly. That's just a slippery slope that could go.
Well, we wouldn't want board members arguing with staff about what was written in a, so we would go through the president.
Right.
So, so we could do that ahead of time as well as at the meeting. All right, so we are we're clear that we'll table this and presumably vote on revised minutes at the next board meeting. So that's the motion on the table?
Yep. That's a motion on the
Are we
table.
gonna vote?
No, you don't vote on table.
We don't need to vote, okay. All right. With that, we now have a discussion item, which is committee appointments and committee meeting schedule. Any thoughts on this? I would, in the past, we have just sent, what I would ask is that everyone to contact me to request a committee appointment, what committee you would like to be on. I will presume that if you don't contact me, you like the committee that you're currently on, because there's not really any changes with board members. I may contact you in case someone wants to be on a committee that you're on, to consider changing committees in case people request, so we have too many people requesting one particular committee. I'd also like to ask, there is a tentative schedule, committee meeting schedule in the packet. However, that meeting schedule should be determined and agreed to by the people on the committee once that's settled. So I would like to propose that we keep current committee membership in place for the month of January. And we make any committee changes as of February. Does that make sense to everybody? So just for now, presume that everything is the same. And if there's any changes, we will begin those changes beginning in February. All right? Anything else?
We will have our work session next.
And we will have a work session. A work session schedule that's on there will just continue to stay the same. So with the expectation that unless you're told otherwise, we would expect to have a work session the second Monday of every month. Okay, so that should be a permanent part of your calendar. Okay, so it's not, how come you didn't tell me? So we're telling you now, we will tell you if there's not a meeting. And we do need to have a work session this coming Monday. All right? All right, public comment, non-agenda items, and there still appears to be no public, so we will move to superintendent's comments.
No comment, Dr. Baker.
All right, board member comments, and I'm going to start with Ms. Slade and work to our right.
No comment.
I just want to express my appreciation to Ms. Slade for serving in the role of vice president for quite some time, I think since
3 years.
Superintendent Neal has been on there, and I just want to commend your leadership on the evaluation and in
Thank
that
you.
role. It's been appreciated, and I want to congratulate Mr. Ross as he takes on the mantle, and onward.
Member Matias.
No comments.
Okay. Vice President Ross.
No comment. Welcome back. Excuse me. My condolences to those folks in green and white, too. So my condolences to those folks in green and white.
All right. Okay. It is a free form. Dr. Randalls.
No comment.
Mr. LeGrand.
No comment.
Dr. Flores.
No comment.
All right, and a couple things. I do also want to thank Ms. Slade for her service as vice president. And so one thing that's really great is that our board meetings now are short and not very interesting. And that took a lot of work to get here. And part of that work was by having a vice president who was capable of bringing us back to boring. So anyway, that was said because we have a great superintendent evaluation, and that Ms. Slade and the rest of the board said. And also, of course, that Raynard Ross can fill those big shoes and move forward. And I know that it also seems like we're on autopilot now, but I know that the people that are in the room are not, and that, who knows what's coming our way this year. It'll be a lot of work, even though we just finished a huge year and getting the bond, and we got a lot more work coming our way, and elections and all kinds of things that are happening this year. So we should be ready to still do the level of work that we've needed to do in the past. So with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Congratulations.